Welcome to Echoes and Roots. I'm Sabine and I guide you back to nature, your inner wisdom, and our ancestral ways of living in harmony with Mother Earth and the cosmos. Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. And the topic of today is from poverty mindset to abundance and freedom in a way, freedom in the sense of a mindset of freedom. And poverty mindset is actually something that is not tied into how many possessions you have, how you live, what you own. I grew up in East Germany under the communists with very little, and then throughout life, so the fall of the wall and everything, I also lived in areas where really the wealthiest people live, especially in the United States, and I came to really see and experience that this mindset, both the abundance mindset as well as the poverty mindset, has absolutely nothing to do with how much money is on your bank account, how many things you own, what position you have, like how much power you feel in terms of status or career. And that this mindset, actually, both the poverty and the freedom mindset, the abundance, have everything to do with your attitude towards safety, your self-esteem, and your self-worth. And poverty consciousness is so prevalent among all of us. It's very prevalent because none of us is free of it. I think it's one of the really one of the most important mindsets to work with, because what has happened historically is that this consciousness was tied into our fears, especially around safety and security. And so we equated feeling safe with material possessions, because we all carry cellular memories of events here that are a long time ago and that we are not even getting taught about anymore at all in school, that created a huge sense of defenselessness, feeling defenseless and feeling invaded, and it created huge fears around safety. And then we came to create these systems, very materialistic systems, where we out of a sudden equated, like, okay, how much I own gives me safety. The status I have, the power in a way from the status gives me safety. So like me sitting in a house with a lot of different things around me, or having the ability, maybe looking at my bank account and feeling I have the ability to buy more and more things, makes me feel safe. And the same thing is around the fear around losing money, is like, oh, this feels extremely unsafe, like having money, spending money, having money go out, not earning enough. All of these things make me feel unsafe, because I'm tying safety into the amount that I'm earning, that is in my bank account, all the material possessions around me. And this is literally in all of us. And it's a huge deprogramming path to address these fears. And we also, the thing is, we are constantly surrounded by more and more fears. So we have this entire media around us that's literally built up on bringing us stories that create fear in us. And so how we then deal with that is we consume more and more, because by consuming things, by buying things, it gives us a feeling, a short feeling, a perceived feeling of safety. And the fears go really deep, because they really go into feeling victimized. Our survival modes, like fears around death. And also, in the end of the day, it comes back to also our relationship to God. So our relationship to God has, in so many ways, through the different religions we are having, I think has really been influenced in a negative way, because, right, we are being told we are worthless, right? We are sinners, we are worthless. And we are also being told there is not enough for everyone on our planet. That's another story. We are constantly being told there is not enough, and there's all this division and these fights around, like, basically getting a piece of the pie. We have so many wars, right, where we are fighting around like land ownership and like owning land. Is like owning land to me is such a strange concept in some ways, because we are sharing here this earth together. Like, we don't own earth at the end of the day as a planet, but we have created these systems where owning land gives you a sense of status. It gives you a sense also, often, right, it gives you a certain comfort and a certain level of living, and a certain level of, we perceive it as a certain level of safety. So it's really, really interesting how we created these systems that make us very dependent on, like, consumption. And from this, us tying fears into, and especially these fears around death and survival, into owning, into material things, we created a lot of different systems, like class systems, slavery, where we all of a sudden have structures like, oh, if I'm in that class, I'm okay because I have access to resources, I own enough. So we are cutting off resources for people, and we created literally like a global consumerism and a global materialism, like literally materialism as a new form of religion. It is currently, when we look around the world, it is the main religion is consumerism, if we are really honest to ourselves. And so we have this constant pressure and constant concern. Also, we are constantly concerned over gaining material possessions, having access to resources, having access to power, having access to status, and in the end of the day, constantly concerned around security and being safe. And it's kind of like the consumerism is like what gets us out of poverty. So it's literally like the antidote. Okay, that means if we can consume, we are not poor. And we also look at abundance, right? From a place of abundance means materialism, means material things, owning things, having a status, rather than abundance is a state, an inner state of being. And it is so much more than just the amount of money we have on the bank account. It is like abundance can be felt in so many different ways. Abundance is something that I feel abundance is really something that comes from, like, this feeling of abundance is coming from deep within. Like, abundance is nourishing friendships. Abundance is being able to appreciate, like, a sunrise and a sunset. Abundance is like valuing the food we're getting from Mother Earth. Abundance is like relationships really, like good relationships, like love in your life. That's really abundance to me personally. And and by us having so many fears tied into the material possessions, and it's like sometimes really gets us out of seeing the rest of abundance in our life, and seeing actually the things that really make our life also worth living, other than just owning money for material things and for having a certain status and living in a certain home. And yes, that gives us, we are really primed for safety and comfort. We are really sort of primed for making safety and comfort the number one thing. And another thing that we kind of mix into materialism, and it leads to this poverty mindset, actually, other than the fears we are having, is our worth and value. That our worth, our value is tied into the possessions we are having, the things we can accumulate, the status we are having, careers, and how much money we are bringing in, and how much money we are making, and what we can afford. And this is even for me, from a personal standpoint, I can really speak to this because I've, when I was at home with my children for many years, I really felt this was the best way of how my children should grow up when they were little, that I was at home because we didn't have family in the same country. And but I did not value what I was doing as a stay-home mom, because I also equated value with me bringing home money. And I think it's something that's really, even for me, like ongoing. I think actually it doesn't even matter how much money I'm making. It's like almost like, can there ever be enough, in a way, if you like tie your value to how much money you're making and what material possessions you can afford, or what career you have, like what status, right? Like what job you're gonna get, what title you're having, how many followers you have on Instagram or on social media, all of these things. If you tie your worth and your value with that, there is never gonna be enough. Never. You're gonna be like, oh, now I'm earning like, I don't know, 10,000. No, like I need to earn 100,000. Or Kia, I don't know, I have 10,000 followers. No, I need to have 1 million followers. Like it's never gonna be good enough, because your worth and your value is tied into status and money and material possessions. And this is something it's such a healing path to untie worth and value from status and money. It's a huge path, I think. And it's also, I think, when you go on this journey, what is also really important, what I found, is really looking into, okay, what are the experiences that my parents and my grandparents had? Like and also inside, what did they undergo, especially when it comes to like money and possession? Did they ever lose everything, right? So then there will be a fear in your family, like I have this. My great parents went from great wealth and had everything taken away, literally taken away by the communists. So lost everything. And then there is a great fear that you can lose everything. That is, again, it ties into the security, right? There is like this, wow, security tied into, but then also there is a great gift in it, because you can from that then learn that actually you can make, again, like you can create again wealth after you lost everything, because again, it's about you and your gifts. We are all, we come in with incredible talents, incredible gifts, and also incredible abilities to set something up, a business, to work somewhere and really make an impact, so we can actually, no matter if we lose everything, we can always again create in a way some type of material wealth, because we also have to, of course, recognize we have to pay our bills, right? So wealth is not a bad thing at all. Like in the way we need a certain amount of money to have also the life to even be able to offer our gifts to the world, right? So in the end of the day, we need to see also how are we gonna earn an income and pay for our bills. But knowing, like having this knowing that, okay, no matter what's going to happen to me, no matter if I lose this job, no matter, actually, I was also, for instance, in positions where I hated my job. And I was like, yes, I'm earning money here, this is my income, but I can just not stay here. This is not good for my health. This is just out of integrity, out of alignment. And then really having the courage to say, I quit, I go, and I will find something else. I will be okay. And this also comes back to our relationship in the end with God, with knowing that we are being taken care of. There is enough for everyone here on this planet, and we are being taken care of by God. And I think there's so much also healing around this relationship to God, because we've been told so much that, right, God is like vengeful, and it's like he punishes and all of these things, but that's not true. There's also, I don't know if when you go back into your life, so many situations where we literally have been taken care of, and there's so many incredible examples out there of people as well that believed in themselves. They potentially have lost everything, but they believed in themselves. And miraculously, they were fine, and it's like stepping away from the fears. What's going to happen if I lose everything? It's going to give you the freedom, because many people stay in jobs that they absolutely hate, that drains their energy, where they know they are in the wrong place because of fears, because it's tied into their sense of security, that income, right? That regular income is tied into their sense of feeling safe. And that's why I made this podcast episode, to kind of get you thinking around, okay, how can I untie my sense of safety and also my sense of worth to how much money I'm making, what kind of status I'm having. Because there's also so many people out there, like they do incredible things and you never hear about them. They don't have a presence, they don't have a status, they just live quietly their life somewhere. And it's just, knowing you are worthy, just being worthy just by existing. That even like your productivity shouldn't be tied in with your worth. Just knowing that existing makes you worthy, because you are created by God. You are created here. You being here, you being alive, and we are all alive, right? And we have a soul, so we have many, many lives. And that alone means, God created you. And that alone means God wanted you as a soul to have experience, and God wanted to experience his own creation, the world, right? And God is not, in my understanding, is not a persona, but I am referring to source as God. But this intelligence that I'm talking about, that created everything, it created us, it created you, it created me, and it therefore wanted us to be here. And that also means we are worthy to be here. We are allowed to be here. And the sense around being worthy to exist is another thing, actually, because it's kind of tying into this worth tied in with being productive, making money, like having a certain status, having a certain, right? Like even like when we are looking always for titles and achievements, and always need to climb up the career ladder, right? And so much, again, of our worth is tied into that. And because I think really often we don't really even feel worthy otherwise of existence unless we sort of quote unquote prove ourselves. Like as if we are here to have to prove ourselves that we can achieve something. And we need to be someone, and we need to make a massive impact, but everything was created. And even the people who do outright horrible evil, we know evil exists, right? And there's people who outright harm others like all day long. That's all they do. Harm others, do evil. They were also created. And you don't think they think for 1 second if they are worthy. I don't think they ever have these thoughts. It's like the other people here who are like struggling with their self-worth. But I think the guys who do evil, I don't think they struggle at all with their self-worth. I don't know, but yeah, it's an assumption I'm making now. But maybe they do. No, I don't know. I really don't know. But the thing is, like, everything was created. Everything was created from source, from God. And just everything was created to exist and to be part of this whole, and to simply be part of, we are always part, I mean, even here, with Mother Earth, we are part of the fabric of the web of life. And just by walking and breathing, we are engaging with our energy. And by us simply smiling, to someone else, you're already like changing someone else's day. So it's like, being worthy, feeling like really worthy to be alive, and to just exist and reminding yourself of that, and then kind of untying your worth from what you achieve and how much you own, how much money you're making. And it's not easy, because of course in our society, everything that we get told about what is success in our society, right? Person who owns 5 houses, 3 cars, who has a career and titles and achievements to show, that is what we perceive as success. And we hardly ever look behind. Are these people that have decent values, live in integrity, all of these things. And that is also when we have such a system here, right? We established as a system of consumerism as the main religion. We then get into this, that we are lacking like really spiritual, ethical, and humanitarian values. And this is unfortunately what we are really lacking. Because as I said, we are as our people to look up to. We look up to people who just show us their money, like with the whole celebrity culture. We literally like put these people on the pedestal that have no integrity, just like constant trauma, like just, oh my God, but it's because what, they're rich, and this is what we then try for. I mean, so it's this kind of materialism without spirituality as a religion on our planet. And it's really about bringing actually back spirituality, in a sense, bringing back this connection to God, because then also when you have a connection to God, a really deep connection, the material world becomes so much less important. Like, you know, there's so many experiences that you can never buy. You can just never ever buy. And materialistic people, they are often like, they can become very narcissistic and very ruthless, and they lack empathy, and they can very easily become controlled by others. And because they're controlled, they can be paid off with money. But when you have like a deep spirituality, and when you cultivate your connection to my earth and to God, you know, there are things, as I said, like money can never ever give you, like money cannot buy you true love, for instance. Money can you buy you a deep friend, a real friendship. You know, money cannot buy. Like the other day when I was in Greece and I was connecting to this tree and the spirit, I was just like, I was so blown away. I was like, you know, the spirit, the ancestor, the soul in this tree was so, it was so beautiful and so incredible. And I was like, you know, these are the experiences money can never ever buy you, you know, and material things can never ever give you. These are the things that when we are just really being present with our heart and being present with Mother Earth and with God, then there is such a rich world that is opening up, that is that is almost a little bit in a balance to the material world, because of course we are also the material world. We need both, right? As I said, we do need to eat. We do need also to live somewhere and also things. So we do need the material world, but we gotten kind of out of balance there. We just have only materialism, and that's all we value. And now it's about, okay, let's get a little bit spirituality back and bring it both into balance. Because also when you're only spiritual, like when you're only in that world, yeah, you know, this is also not rooted in the, you also have to be just rooted here in the 3D world. So you kind of need the balance of both, basically, also to become, also I think, to be a decent human being, you know, to have some proper integrity. And there's a couple of things that we can do basically to really move into this freedom mindset. So A is about addressing your fears, right? As I said, fear is tied into the poverty mindset. So what are the deepest fears you are having, and where do you see this a mode of survival coming in when it comes to poverty mindset? And where are you literally, where are we running after money? And how is it tied into our fear of death? Other thing is trusting into the natural world, trusting there is enough for everyone. Like we wouldn't be fighting about resources and about like borders and countries so much if we would believe there's enough for everyone. You know, we build a lot of wealth in the Western world based on exploitation, continuing to do so. And alone that is just like, I mean, yeah, you know, exploiting other countries and exploiting other countries, other nations, and exploiting Mother Earth. So it's a system that cannot continue for forever. We cannot continue just exploiting everything, because we are so in fear and we are so not valuing ourselves that we constantly consuming much more than we actually need in the end of the day. And then also knowing that we are not born into the poverty mindset. We are being programmed into this. It's like a program. It's a mind program that's running here. It's a mindset. It's not actually what is earth. It's not what is true about the resources, what is true about energy here. And just realizing that this is simply a mindset. It's tied into our subconscious fears and our value. And then you can set yourself more and more free of that mindset. And a couple of things, when we are really in this sort of lack mentality, what are the things we are actually doing, you know? For instance, we are only buying what's on sale. I've been guilty of that. Yeah, what is that? That's a lack mentality, to only buy things that are on sale. And we have this, we heard the whole things like coupon, sale here, sale there, isn't such a strategy. I see this all the time with emails coming in. And this is, of course, everywhere. This is, of course, also in the spiritual business world. This is everywhere. Like, oh, the course is only like this amount for the next 3 days, and then it goes up. And then you are out of a sudden like, oh, I need this. And it's also knowing, when are we buying from this place of kind of real lack. So sometimes, and I think this is so, I find this with myself, right? In the spiritual world, we're in this constant path of, oh, we need to grow, we need to heal and whatever, and we need this modality, we need to learn this, we need to do that, and only now it's on sale, right? And then you get into this, you're literally being rushed into, you need to purchase now, right? You need this for your healing. You need this for your growth. You need this to become better. You need this for your marketing strategy if you have a business, right? You need this. Like, we are constantly told we need this to become whatever, better human, to make more money, to be more abundant, to be more happy, like to get more love in our life, whatever. We need this, and we need to buy it now because now it's on sale. And this is really interesting. So stepping out of this energy that's forcing. Like, I really recognize for myself, energy that's really pushy is not a good thing. But it's hard to recognize it always, and it's sometimes hard to really step out of it because it's constantly used everywhere. Like, everybody's using these tactics all day long. You know, we are bombarded with these tactics left and right. But yeah, once we get a little bit more, it's what I'm saying, it's also about the relationship to God, to yourself. Once we get a little more always back to ourselves, we're getting less out of this mentality of, I need to rush, I need this. Like, literally it's the same when we're buying new material items, right? New clothes. I need this to feel better. I need this to look good. I need this to whatever, right? I need this to like seem like I'm rich. When we get out of that, then we can come back into stillness. You know, taking a moment, thinking for a moment, do we really need this? And recognizing the marketing tactics. I love this now when I look at emails. I'm like, oh yeah, this tactic. It's all the ways that making me try to buy their stuff, you know. So yeah, throw out buying things on sale. Next thing, oh my God. Only getting free things and giving out free things. And here comes a big thing in. How much this has tied into our value, and this has to do that we actually start valuing things and valuing someone else's time and energy. Because even though we have this whole consumerism, and when we can buy millions of items, right, in the Western world, we are having this conversation here, let's recognize this, from a really entitled place. There are millions of people on this planet who are living in starvation, who have nothing, who are basically the victims of this consumer-oriented mentality that I'm talking about here. But as we are living here in the Western world, and as we can also start making shifts in our mindset, we can also improve then the conditions, because we're not anymore buying like mindlessly things and exploiting other countries and other nations in order to basically have this whole consumerism going on this planet, because it's built up on exploitation. So anyway, wait, where was I? Free things. Oh my God, only running after free things, giving out free things. yeah, so that comes in exactly. Are we valuing someone? Are we valuing first ourselves, our own time, right? If you are a entrepreneur, if you're a content creator, if you have products to sell, are you valuing yourself if you constantly put everything on sale or hand out constantly free things? And are actually the people that you're going to attract with this value any of what you do? Because I found that when we get free things, we actually do not value. Like, oh my God, there's constantly these things like my kids bringing home. Like, you go to the supermarket, you pay a certain amount of money, and then they get these free toy things for the kids. The kids are crazy about it. They trade it at school, but then it lies around in the home. Nobody ever looks at it again. And I'm like, and then they tell me, oh, can't we buy something in the supermarket because then we get this thing? And I'm like, is this already how we are? This is what I mean. We are programmed from a young age into this mentality. Oh, get something, buy two, get one for free, right? Like that. This free, we getting something for free is some sort of is some sort of special thing that we have to do, that makes us feel good, like literally makes people feel good. I'll get something for free, but actually the free thing we are getting, usually we never ever value it, and so starting to if you are an entrepreneur, maybe to hand out less free things, and also make us think about, did you actually ever buy, like, people have all this thing, get my free workbook, get my free this. Did you ever buy anything from these people that you got the free information from? Sorry, I didn't. Because I already got stuff for them for free. Why should I then pay money? Like, I don't know. If I pay money like to someone if I see the value. And yes, there's already tons, when you think about all the content out there that people that are entrepreneurs put out there for free already on YouTube, on Instagram, there's already so much free content out there where people get to know yourself. They're handing out more for free. I'm like, yeah, that is crazy. But this is coming back to us valuing things, valuing ourselves and valuing someone else, time and money. And so I had this conversation with a friend about like knitting and weaving, and like really these handmade pullovers that are made in from wool in Ireland, and these women doing that. And it's like, it's an art. It's an art to do that. Like, the wool that goes in there is from a sheep that was outside. It picked up energetically the sunlight, the moonlight. Like, then they're using very specific patterns. They're putting like their own emotions and energy into it. So this product has within it the time of the person, right? It has like the energy of the person. It has the attention of the person. Like, there is so much. The product itself is so rich energetically. And of course, that product has a certain price then. It's different than if I'm going to go to H&M, and I can most likely, the price I pay for a handmade woolen jumper from Ireland is, I can most likely get more than maybe 10 jumpers at H&M. But that jumper at H&M was done by some children working under horrible conditions, not putting any kind of, like, the energy that went into that jumper is not good. So the difference here in the product, but also in just valuing someone's time. And we used to make everything from hand, and now everything is done by some sort of machine, right? And like, industrialization really, I don't know, I think it destroyed a lot of our original art. Because when you even think of weaving, there was literally, when you weave certain patterns into fabric, you're weaving a consciousness. Like, we were weaving consciousness. Like, also when I studied the Qatars, they often became weavers. They literally weave the consciousness of God, of light, of the unity, of love and oneness into a fabric. And we would then wear this fabric, so we would be surrounded by this consciousness. It was very healthy. And now, yeah, we can buy everything, but what is the consciousness of what we are buying now? And are we actually valuing it? Then this comes back, right? Are we valuing any of the lives of these children that are producing the stuff that's being sold at the big chains? um, so yeah, starting to really value someone else's time, because then when we spend money, it also becomes a really different act, because then when we spend money, it becomes an act of actually showing appreciation that you value something. So we can take the system. We're not going to get rid of money in this lifetime, so we will have to deal with the system of money that kind of in some way has been enslaving us, but at the same time we can also turn it around to give again value to it, right? And that starts by, for instance, when I go shopping, and it's really interesting when you observe yourself, when you spend money, are you scared? Are you scared, oh my God, I'm just spent money, so the money could run out? And I'm really trying to train myself to not be scared, because I have the same fears as everybody else, right? But to actually think, no, I'm paying now. So I'm buying here at a shop, local bakery, local grocery, whatever. I'm A, paying for these goods that are going to nourish my body, but B, I'm paying for the employee also here that's sitting here. I know it's usually when you buy locally, these are people that they are always there. They are part of the community, right? I mean, you're paying for their life as well, so they can maybe enjoy a nice holiday or whatever. And so I'm really training myself, no, I'm giving also value to the person that is working here, for them to actually be employed, right, and make a living. And for the products I'm buying, to really sort of rebrain yourself, and to choose to spend your money on things that you really value. And the same when you're getting money in, right? If you are someone who sells something, to really say, look, I value myself, and that value is reflected in my pricing. And pricing as an entrepreneur is such an incredible, interesting thing, because it has so much to do with our own, with our self-worth and our fears, but also sometimes I think there is such, especially in the spiritual scene, there is total underpricing and total overpricing, where you think, wow, how do you ever think you should be charging so much for whatever you're doing, but you have these both extremes, and it's really interesting learning path to actually come to a pricing for your products that really reflects a true value, right? An honest value of your work that isn't just totally just totally in the extreme, but then also totally not undervaluing yourself. So this is about being also in integrity with money. So being fair when it comes to exchanges for a service. So that's what I mean with overvaluing and undervaluing yourself, but being in integrity. So in integrity with the money you spend, so that you spend the money on things that you really value. And no matter what this is, no matter what you buy, a nice dress or, a service, but that you say, I really value this. I don't just buy it just to have more. No, but I'm going to value it. The same thing, being in integrity with how much money you are asking for yourself, right? When you do salary negotiations, if you're an entrepreneur, when you put out your prices. And to also understand that when we create something, what I find so incredible about us is we are creators. Really, we are so, our biggest gift is that we constantly have ideas, and we can build things and make things and create things. So us really valuing that in each other as well. And that then also means that often we're going to buy maybe a little bit more locally. We're going to buy more from the people we know, or we're going to buy things, as I said, where we really value the amount, the effort, the ideas, the inspiration, and the energy that went into it. That's another thing, right? like when we are in integrity with money and with our service, then a certain energy goes into that service that we are providing. And that is also what is so valuable. Like, honestly, what is the energy that the machine is putting into when the machine is building whatever they are doing, compared to the energy of us, because we are alive, but we are putting into something when we are creating something? For me, it's a total difference. And yeah, I mean, for some things, of course, we will be using machines. No question about it. But then there's so many things where it's really the value actually comes with what we as humans put into this, with our own attention, with our own energy, with our own genius, with our creativity. And that provides in the end real value. And knowing that that value is also then in exchange for money, right? That we can use money to really also show people that we value their time, their services. And another thing is around fears. So being kind of a little bit, as I said, fearless, staying calm in the face of parting with money. And that has to do with, like, literally, you can train yourself every single time you spend money to not be in fear that the money will run out, because you can really feel into, where is this emotion here in my body? What am I feeling in my body right now when I'm spending money? And how can I stay calm, and how can I breathe through that emotion, knowing that it is just an emotion. It's part of me equating safety with money, and with having a certain amount of money on my bank account. And of course, then me spending money puts me into a situation of slightly feeling unsafe. And you can work through this, right? Because it's an emotion. We can work through the emotions, the cellular memories. We can work somatically through that. We can work with breathing through it. So kind of being a bit fearless around also spending your money, and knowing that when you spend money, again, you give wealth, right? You show that you appreciate something else. So again, choosing what you're going to spend money on, how, when you part with money, and knowing that, having this real trust in yourself, that if you lose everything, if you lose your job, if house burns down, no insurance, whatever, that you will be able, you will be fine. Life is going to provide for you. God is looking out for you. It's, again, it's really strong connection to source. And seeing, like, when we exchange money a little bit as kind of like a win-win situation. So we gaining something, and the other person also gets the appreciation that for the time, the time, their energy, and their genius that they put into this. So that is actually a positive thing, because we are valuing what we are getting, and that person gets that value being paid back. Because honestly, if you hand out something for free, there's no fair exchange. You put time into this. You put your creativity into this. Where is the fair exchange there? It's just not there. So, yeah. And yeah, being grateful for what we have and blessing what we have. It's another thing. And that also comes back to not just seeing abundance as just money, right? As just like possessions and material items, but being really also grateful. Like being grateful when we have, as an entrepreneur, right? When we have a client and somebody comes, buys our services, being grateful when we can spend money on certain things, because as I said, so many people live in extreme poverty on our planet, and for them often it isn't just about a mindset. That is the unfortunate truth as well. For us here, that we are privileged, that everybody who can listen to this podcast, and me making this, we are privileged. For us, this is about a mindset. But for many people, this is literally about access to resources, and they don't have them. And we can only create a better, a fairer world for them when we can shift our mindset, when we not constantly consume out of fear and be stuck in our own fear poverty mindset. When we start to see there is enough on this planet and it's okay to share resources on this planet. We don't have to hoard everything. So it's also about us changing our mindset. It's eventually gonna help with us creating different systems that are fairer to those who are exploited by the system. And so us being grateful and blessing what we are having, because we do, in all honesty, we have so much. Like, we really have so much. Like, us being able to even like do this work, like I'm always telling myself, I am very blessed to be able to do this work. And we are blessed with the places we are born into. Like blessed with the passports that we got, because most of us, I assume, are allowed to travel around, and to work. Like for instance, I worked in different countries, but I'm allowed to simply by the place I'm born into. It's such a privilege. It's such a blessing. And that's why I also think we have a responsibility for those people on our planet who do not have the same chances as us. Yeah. And then the last thing, yes, embodying money values is one of the last things I wrote down in my notes about this that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, and this is really interesting. And this comes a little bit back of what we seeing mirrored back in our life is, for instance, how are we dealing with money, right? Because we see this mirrored back. Are we scared to spend money? Then, of course, we're going to kind of have people in our life that are also scared to give us money. Are we, for instance, having issues, like this is also for entrepreneurs, if we're having issues with people paying on time, are we actually paying on time? Are we fulfilling our money obligations, right? And paying on times? Are we shopping only on discount so that everybody who comes to us is only going to shop on discount? Are we just reaching out for free things? Like, it's like really, life is a mirror. So it's really, I think it's an incredible growth path. Our relationship to money, wealth, poverty, and abundance is an incredible growth path here, especially at this time, as we are having in the Western world, like literally this consumerism as a religion, and how to navigate this, and how to really be in integrity with money and have a really healthy mindset around money and around, as I said, around also these fears we have in regards to poverty, and especially in regards to our own self-worth, and then being also able to enjoy the choices we are making, in a sense. So if you are, for instance, a stay-home mom, to know that you are worthy, if you are on, like, if you're whatever on sick leave, or if you're a day not that productive, that it's totally okay. We don't always have to be productive and work. All of these things, like if you just have a certain job and not another one, or not a certain title or a certain house, that is no reflection of our worth. Yeah, it's a lot of food for thought. I'm gonna leave you with here. And thanks so much for being with me in this exploration, on this path. Also, we all are on this path of exploring these themes. And is there anything else I wanted to say? No, of course. Other ways to work with me. So my life course, I have one life course running right now, Oracles of Gaia, but it's finishing. I have a really, really nice one coming out in January, another beautiful life course that I'm going to announce in due time. And otherwise, I have my seasonal courses. We are in autumn energy right now here in the Northern Hemisphere, and my seasonal courses really teach you how you can benefit from the knowledge of Chinese medicine and the knowledge of Mother Earth to live really healthy through the autumn season and to really nourish your immunity and also your connection to God, because it's connected to the autumn season. So yeah, as always, that's kind of on right now with the energies that I feel are really important, present. And as I said, thanks so much for being here, and hopefully feel you see you back next time. Bye bye. Follow me on Instagram for grounded spirituality, ancient wisdom, and nature-based living.